99 times out of 100, you take the answer and leave. I'm not making it up. Last year, the Pew Research Center tracked 900 people's actual browsing for a month, and when an AI summary appeared at the top of the Google page, clicks on the results below it dropped by nearly half. And the sources inside the summary, the receipts behind the answer, those got clicked in 1% of visits. 1%. AI is changing the way we seek answers. We didn't lose access to answers. Answers are raining on us. What we lost quietly in about 2 years is the thing a person does after an answer. And I've become convinced that thing was never optional. It was where understanding actually lived. This is not one of those videos about how AI is rotting your brain. I lean on these tools daily and they're exceptionally valuable. But stay with me, because by minute 3 you'll have the 5 questions I run on any belief before I let it stay in my head. And after that I'll show you what those questions buy. It's more than being right, because the AI answer box is only the newest layer of this. Book summaries so you skip the book. Threads that compress a study into 9 sentences. A chat window that hands anyone a confident paragraph on anything in less than 10 seconds, which is exactly why everyone sounds more informed now. Every dinner table has hot takes on inflation, protein, attention spans, or the war of the month. The surface of human knowledge has never been this crowded. One layer down, it's never been this empty. I've defended the breadth part on this channel before. The Connector Mind video is about collecting and connecting ideas from everywhere. And I stand by all of it. Connecting requires understanding the things that you're connecting. You cannot see how 2 ideas rhyme if all you have is their names. Breadth wraps around depth. That's the whole design. So that video was half the job. This one is the other half that makes the first half work. Here's the plan. The 5 questions first, then the part I find more interesting. Why truth comes in layers. How far down deep it goes, and what pushing through the layers does to you. Question 1. What do I actually think? Take the belief and write down your best answer in your own words. 1 honest paragraph, no quoting anyone. If you can't say it without boring someone else's sentences, you don't have a thought yet. And that's fine. Now you know. Question 2. Why do I believe it's true? This is the second question. The exact one that Pew number says we stopped asking. Trace the belief to where you got it from. Sometimes the honest answer is, a guy said it on a podcast and it sounded about right. Say that out loud. Nothing clears the head faster than hearing what a belief stands on. Question 3. Who disagrees with me and what's their best point? Find the sharpest person who thinks you're wrong and give their case a fair fight in your own head. If your answer from question 1 breaks, it broke in private, which is the cheapest place to lose. If it holds, it just got stronger and you now know why. The answer to question 3 is always a win-win situation. Question 4. What happens when I test it? 3 doors. Use whichever the belief offers. Check it against real research, actual studies, not headlines about studies. Or run it small, in your own life for a week and watch what your experience says. Or translate it into an analogy and watch if the analogy leaks. Any of the 3 will tell you something your feed never will. Question 5. How does it feel? This one is only for beliefs about people, including yourself. Say the belief out loud and pay attention to your body while you do. Tightness, relief, or a flinch that you didn't expect. And question about humans, the feeling could be evidence. Write how you feel like a witness. That's all 5. So if you leave now, take them with you, but stay if you can, because what's left is the juice on why is this the exact moment in history where depth started compounding in value. So the moment that we are in. The mainstream read is simple. The machines are making us stupid. We are offloading thinking to AI. Our attention is shrinking. We are cooking our own brains. To be fair to that story, it isn't empty. Early research keeps pointing the same direction, including work suggesting that the more we trust the machine's answer, the less effort we spend checking it. And you can probably feel that. The AI answer usually looks right, so you don't check it. I don't always check it either. But hold on, because we have run this panic before. 24 centuries ago, Plato wrote down Socrates worrying that a new technology would wreck human memory and produce people who seem wise without being wise. The technology was writing. Then calculators were going to end arithmetic. Then Google was going to end remembering. And some of that did happen. We now remember where to find things better than the things themselves. Each tool took a task off of our hands. And every time we assumed the task was thinking itself, here's what we miss. The tools have never removed thinking. For example, what AI removes is smaller and more specific, and in a way worse. It removes the need to ask again. The box answers. The answer is fluent, and the fluency feels like arrival. And the page scrolls on. What died in that 1% statistic isn't intelligence. Nobody got dumber in the last 2 years. What died is the follow-up, the cross-checking, the verification, the understanding why. Nobel Prize winner Richard Feynman used to tell a story about his father. As a kid, another boy pointed at a bird and asked him what it was. And Feynman had to admit he had no idea. The kid said, "It's a brown-throated thrush." And your dad teaches you nothing. But his father had taught him something else, something deep. He'd said you could learn that bird's name in every language on earth. And at the end, you'll know absolutely nothing about the bird. You'd only know something about humans. Then he'd say, now let's watch what the bird is doing. That distinction is the whole game now. A name is what the answer box gives you. The bird is what's underneath. Everyone has the names. Almost nobody has watched what the bird is doing. So let's dive deeper. Truth comes in layers. The first answer on any topic is real, but it's the top layer, the name layer, the surface level thinking. Under it sits the reason the answer is true, and under that is the evidence. Under that are the edges, the places where the answer stops being true, which every honest answer has. You can't dive straight to the bottom because the layers are connected to each other. Each one has to carry the one above it, the way a floor needs the floor below. And then it clicked that connectedness is the entire difference between a belief that you have questioned and a belief that you have collected. Push on a questioned belief and its owner can show you what it rests on, layer by layer, because they laid each one and checked it against its critics. A collected belief has nothing under it but the confidence of whoever handed it over to you. Imagine a tree. Everything a mind can show off is a canopy. The hot takes, the vocabulary, the references, the feed-ready fluency. What holds the tree up is root. And roots have two properties canopy never has. They grow in the dark, without being observed, applauded, or criticized. And they grow by pushing against resistance. A question is resistance. Every question you push a belief through grows more root under it. A mind that's all canopy looks spectacular right up to the first storm. A well-rooted one sways and holds. And a hard conversation with a smart skeptic is a storm. And the science here is older than the answer box. Back in the late 80s, a learning researcher named Michelin Chi watched physics students work through solved examples and found the ones who actually learned were the ones who kept stopping to explain the material to themselves, step by step, in their own words. The weaker students read the same pages and just nodded along. The self-explaining predicted the learning, and it's been replicated across field after field ever since. The mechanism fits in one sentence. Explaining a thing to yourself forces your brain over every gap it quietly skipped. And a gap you have seen is a gap you can close. Nodding is frictionless. Roots need the friction. Truth is what survives your questions. Everything else is just answers, which raises the obvious question. How far down does it go? When do you hit the bottom layer, plant a flag, and stop? The answer? You don't. And the man who worked that out is the one I'd put at the head of this whole video. Immanuel Kant spent his life on one question. What can a human being actually know? His answer is the most useful piece of philosophy I've ever picked up. We never get the thing itself. We only get it as it arrives through us, filtered by our senses, sorted by equipment we didn't choose and can't step outside of. There's a wall, and past it, reason keeps talking with enormous confidence about things it cannot check. Because think about it. If there is no bottom, then knowing was never a destination you arrive at and defend. It's a direction you walk, And the honest position for a person who has read a lot, dug a lot, and knows more than most people in the room is still, I don't know. Not false modesty, just accuracy. Watch what that does to you. Arrival makes you right. You've got the answer, so every new fact is a threat. But I don't know leaves you curious. And curious is the strongest state a mind can be in, because it's the only one where the door stays open. Every genuinely deep person I've met runs this. They know an enormous amount and hold it lightly. The arrogance is always higher up in the canopy, where somebody mistook the first layer for the floor. The branching part of the brain cell, the part that reaches out to take connections from other cells, is called a dendrite, from the Greek dendron tree. They named it that because that is what it looks like under a lens. And those branches grow. Physically, when you learn something with effort, your neurons sprout new connections. Researchers training mice on new movement watched fresh branches appear within about an hour, and whether that new tissue survives depends on the exact quality the answer box removes. The learning has to be effortful. Easy doesn't hold the ground. Struggle does. Friction is how your brain marks a thing as worth building for. So when I say a question grows a root, I'm not being poetic. Ask the second question, and something in your head physically branches. Then there's what all this does to the person asking. And the thing I keep noticing is how physical the change is. Run a belief through the 5 questions, and you carry it differently. You quit performing someone else's certainty and start speaking from your own notes. You remember which question nearly killed the belief, and the test where your clean idea leaked. That memory is firsthand. No summary can take it away from you, and no smart stranger can wobble it, because you've already attacked it harder than they will. An expert isn't the person holding the most answers. It's the person whose answers have survived the most questions. That's why you can spot the difference in seconds when someone talks. Forward certainty performs. Question certainty just sits there, calm, with receipts of truth. And the fastest way to find out which one you're holding is to try teaching the thing to someone else. Out loud, teaching audits every layer you claim to have. And point all 5 inward sometimes. Why am I still replaying that comment from Tuesday? Is this goal mine or just photogenic? Run them gently and log what your body says. Some of the most useful things I know about myself came off that log. Let me give you one more from my own life. I ran this loop on something I badly did not want to lose. Nutrition, possibly one of the most noisiest surface on the internet. Every answer has a confident opposite, and both sides have a podcast. The belief I kept meeting, especially in the West, is that dairy is inflammatory, bad for your gut, bad for your skin, and bad for you. And here's my honest question 1. I did not want that to be true. I grew up on at least a liter of milk a day, ghee on the roti, yogurt on the side of everything, paneer once a week, and no complaints. I love it, mostly for the taste and for what it is in my culture and my family. So I clocked the shape I was in. I wasn't investigating, I was shopping for permission. Naming that was question 1. Question 2. Where did the anti-dairy belief came from? Mostly wellness content sitting downstream of real research about the people it actually applies to. And where did mine come from? My mother's kitchen. Both borrowed, neither one a finding. Question 4. The test. And this is where it got interesting. Digesting milk as an adult is a mutation. Most humans on Earth lose the ability after childhood. That's the default. And the geneticist who maps that mutation across India found something interesting. The farming communities of Haryana, the part of the world that I'm from, carry it at some of the highest rates recorded anywhere in the planet. Not because we are special, because our ancestors back in the day herded cattle and drank milk. And the ones who could handle it did it better. And I discovered another cool thing. It's the same variant a Danish dairy farmer carries. But question 3 is why I trust any of this. Because question 3 cost me. I went hunting for the best case against my own conclusion, and it took my favorite fact. Ghee has butyrate, the thing that's meant to make it a gut superfood. There's about 1% in there, and your colon makes more of it from a bowl of fiber than a spoon of ghee ever will. Ghee is still mostly saturated fat at the same calories as butter, but what survived was smaller and truer. Clarifying butter into ghee strips out nearly all of the lactose and casein, which is why it sits fine with people milk doesn't. It holds at the heat Indian cooking runs at, where butter would burn. The vitamins are more concentrated, and I have the machinery for the rest, in moderation, with the exercise to earn it. So what I landed on was not dairy is good, and it was not dairy is bad. It was dairy isn't for everyone. And for my body, it's a gift. That answer is not on the surface. It can't be. The surface only holds what's true on average. And you're not an average. And notice the order. Curiosity first, just an itch. Then the work, the reading, the bumps, and there were plenty. Then discovery, something I found with receipts that nobody handed me. You might think that depth is for scholars. It's for anyone, with a question and a patience to ask it twice. The first one is the hardest. It feels slow and stupid and like everyone else has already moved on. Then you get there, and it's quiet, and it's yours. And it settles 100 arguments you'd otherwise keep having with yourself for years. So here's the practice, and I've kept it deliberately small. One belief, one page, one evening. Pick a hot take that you have repeated lately with total confidence. Write question one's paragraph, your words, then walk it through the other 4. Trace where you got it. 20 minutes with the sharpest oppositions you can find. Treat it fairly. One test. Whichever door the belief offers, a study, a small experiment on your own week, or an analogy, pushed until it leaks. For anyone who ran the 168 audit, count this as a 2-word hour, and one of the cheapest available. And notice what happens if you do it more than once, because this compounds, which is what this whole stretch of the channel is about. The first belief takes an evening. The third takes half of one. Somewhere around the 5th, the question starts firing on their own, while you scroll and a confident paragraph in your feed trips the quiet reflex. Wait, what's under this? That reflex is the actual product. The one-pager with all 5 questions and a field check is in the description below for free. So back to where we started. 99 of us out of 100 take the answer and go. And the answers are mostly fine. That's the strange part. The crisis was never wrong answers. An answer taken and left does nothing to you either way. It passes through, undigested, and next month you can't even quote it. What changes a mind was never the answer. It's the resistance you make the answer survive. So keep the canopy. Keep collecting wide. I've made a whole video on why. The connector mind. Just remember that breadth only connects when there's something underneath to connect it to. When nothing actually matters to you, stay. Ask the second question, then the one under it, and when you get as far down as you're going to get, say the honest sentence, the one Immanuel Kant spent a life earning. I don't know. Don't stop there. Then keep digging anyway, because that sentence is not a defeat. It's you being honest and you leaving the door open. Nobody will ever see the roots you grow down there. Grow them anyway. The storm is what they are for. If you run the one-page version this week, tell me the belief you picked in the comment section below. Just the topic, nothing more. And if you want more insights as they come, subscribe. Ask yourself one more question this week than you did last week. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.